maybe produce a second ball like this, right? So now you're introducing other objects into the routine. And by the way, that little spin is what helped me produce the ball. It's also the one that helps me get rid of it and then possibly return it to here, sort of like that. If you want to learn how to spin that wand like this, it works pretty well, but that third ball shows up over here all by itself, which is the way it's not supposed to happen. Here is now the 3-on-3 construct that is the famous way that this trick is performed. Now, the way that it is normally done, and the way it's done on television, is a ball is placed underneath each one of these, sort of like this, and I get to hold my hand in this contorted fashion.
Yeah, you're deformed, kind of.
Yeah,
okay.
well, no, because there's nothing going on there.
Okay.
The idea is to make you think I'm, maybe palming, or things going up my sleeve. The idea is that the two balls in the periphery leave and join the one in the center, sort of like that. Now, there's certain venues that I work where people are holding cups and they're holding them like this as opposed to this, and what's in the cups begins to degrade their ability to appreciate anything that I'm doing. What's that? Sometimes, yes, but the ones that get out of hand. Beer and wine festivals, I get there early. I tell them if they hire me, let me get there early. Let me do the first hour and a half, because by the time it's, the band kicks in and stuff, I've got people setting their beer on my mat and stuff's getting spilled. It's like, yeah, it's not even worth it. By the way, my favorite version to do for those folks is this, to cover each one of these and snap my fingers until they switch places. That one guy will believe me, though. Then I have what's called the designated driver version of this, where that one stays there. This one leaves and shows up over here like this, which shouldn't have happened. And by the way, there's a lot of suspicion about the props themselves, like maybe there's a hole in the cup, which isn't true, but it looked like that for a second.
It did.
But the ball and the disappearance of the ball ultimately is what the concern is, and all three of them are right there. Now, in the 1970s, a Canadian magician named Di Vernon, who was friends with people that Pamela knows from the Magic Castle in Hollywood, was performing this trick when Johnny Carson asked him. And Johnny Carson, by the way, knew how to perform the cups and balls. He was actually an accomplished magician, but he never really talked about that a lot on the show. But he was a wonderful straight man. If a magician went on Johnny Carson's show, Johnny Carson did everything to make the magician look good. He had the appropriate responses, and sometimes he was genuinely fooled. Unlike David Letterman, who was an absolute tool to every magician that ever went. Go watch David Letterman interact with a magician. He interrupts and he throws their cadences, and he was a jerk to magicians. No appreciation for them. Why he had them on his show, I have no idea. I get it. If you don't like them, just don't have them on.
Yeah.
So he asked Vernon, he says, how is this trick accomplished? And he says, well, he said, I'll give away a part of it. He says, the first thing that happens is you take a ball and you get rid of it, and that leaves two, okay? So if I get rid of the two outside balls, and he told Vernon, he said, if I'm not lying about this fact, I've got one here, but then he asked the studio audience, who would like to know how this one got back under there? Because it shouldn't have been there, and the people are raising their hands and so on. And he says he showed, and there's controversy about him giving this away. He shouldn't have. But he talked about something called the French drop, which is where it looks like you've grabbed the ball and taken it here, but it really looks here. There's various ways to do this. It looks like it goes into the hand here, but it stays over here. And it's a long and a lot of technique and a lot of practice. The point is you believe it's here, and you believe it's here. So the mind is satisfied with that. When you just casually lift the cup, you insinuate the ball underneath and at the last minute, and it looks like it has been there in some sedentary fashion the whole time. He told Carson, he says, but if I really put it away, I still can't palm three balls like that. And that audience was like, realized they'd been kind of taken for a ride on that. So he looks at the audience, and at this time, Vernon was already in his 70s. He was 75, pushing 80 when he did this, and Vernon just kind of leans back, and he takes the three balls, and had this kind of high, little raspy voice. He goes, how many of them would think it would be great if these three balls wound up underneath the cups? And they're all, okay, yeah. He goes, I can't do it. There's no room because these things are under there. And that was the end of his routine, and Johnny Carson just about fell off. So that's the classic cups and balls for you.
I love it.
So, thanks.